Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Well folks, we've been predicting it, and honestly, it's not because we want to predict it, it's not because I want it to happen, it's more so just being prepared for every single possibility under this disastrous regime that is, of course, the Biden White House. We've been talking about it for a while, folks. Bidenomics, Bidenflation, and now possibly the Biden recession. It's coming a whole lot earlier than a lot of people were expecting, but at this point, I don't think people are questioning whether it's going to happen. It's more a matter of when. A lot of eternal optimists and many people who are partisan Democrats. Now, of course, the media and a lot of people who are highly optimistic or believe the crap that's coming out of Joe Biden and Janet Yellen's mouths believe that either we're not going to see a recession or it's going to be a soft landing. Some people are saying a recession might hit, but it's probably going to be late 2023, definitely not now. And while, of course, all of those possibilities are in fact possibilities, their predictions could be accurate, we might be seeing worst case scenario. And regardless of what Jim Cramer is telling you on CNBC, the numbers might be telling a completely different story. It's possible, not 100% accurate that it's going to happen, but it's possible that the Biden recession is already here, that it's already started. CPI numbers hit for the month of May at 8.6%, a whole lot worse than anyone was expecting. In fact, the worst we've seen so far. The April numbers were actually 8.2 or 8.3, a decrease from the month prior, which had many people optimistic that we had hit the peak and it was starting to come down now. But it seems as though we are not out of the water just yet, as May numbers hit 8.6, the highest since the 1980s. And folks, while inflation is bad, and of course 8.6% inflation is even worse, that is not the number that you should be worried about, and that is not the number that is going to cause a recession. Let me show you guys what personally has me freaking out, and if this prediction trend continues, the chances of a Biden recession go higher and higher and higher every single day until we get the official number in late July, July 28th or July 30th. Let me show you guys what's going on here, but before we get into any of it, please make sure to leave a like, a comment, subscribe, share the video as much as possible. We are still shadow banned by the YouTube algorithm, hidden from non-subscribed viewers, and with that out of the way, let's roll the tape. Alright folks, so like I've been saying over the last couple of days, the numbers are about to drop, and we've got coverage from the Wall Street Journal. Inflation reaches 8.6% in May, CPI live updates. As you guys can see from the chart over here, this is the highest number since 1981. And by the way, the last time we saw this, as you guys can see, that was the recession of the 1970s or late 1970s during the end of Jimmy Carter's first term in office and only term in office. U.S. consumer inflation in May reached its highest level in more than 4 decades as surging energy and food prices pushed prices higher. The Labor Department on Friday said that the Consumer Price Index increased 8.6% in May from the same month a year ago, marking the highest reading since December 1981. Inflation surveyed by the Wall Street Journal had expected the Consumer Price Index to rise 8.3% in May. U.S. stocks fell sharply. The Dow Industrial Average fell around 2.7%, or around 880 points. Technology shares slid along with the banks and consumer shares, sending the S&P 500 down 2.9%, and the NASDAQ Composite down 3.5%. Folks, if you look at year to date on the NASDAQ, tech stocks are down 26% year to date.
My plans to produce the strongest, fastest, most widespread economic recovery America has ever experienced, with record jobs, new record small businesses, and wages rising.
Again, Joe Biden keeps patting himself on the back at just how well he's doing, but reality is the total polar opposite. We are in disaster zone. We are on the brink of straight up panic in the markets. We haven't reached it yet, and we've already seen 26% price reduction. We are on the brink of total panic in the markets. And keep that in mind that we haven't even seen panic hit just yet, and the NASDAQ is down 26%. The Dow is down at nearly 20%, the S&P following at around the same. We are in a bear market, and it's just getting started. And Joe keeps telling us how great everything is as you see your retirement savings tank, while the price of literally everything continues to skyrocket. And he's looking like such a monumental hypocrite, such a total and utter liar that even CNN is reporting on the current economic situation like this.
As part of his plan, I know this doesn't sound like a plan, But first and foremost, he respects the independence of the Federal Reserve.
The troubling figures could spell doom for Democrats in the upcoming midterm elections this November as Biden lashed out at Republicans, shipping conglomerates, Russian President Putin, and oil companies today.
Exxon made more money than God this year.
A new poll shows that only 28% of U.S. adults approve of Biden's handling of the economy.
Everything continues to go to crap, and Joe Biden keeps blaming literally everybody but himself. And of course, probably the most frustrating part about all of this is that the people who are in charge are always a step behind, or I guess for political reasons are deluding themselves and the American public as to the actual reality of the situation. Take a look at this coverage as well.
New data shows consumer prices soared last month, sending inflation climbing 8.6% from last year, the highest since 1981. Biden delivering the bad news today after predicting 6 months ago that the inflation crisis had hit its peak.
I think you'll see it change sooner than quicker, than more rapidly than it will take than most people think.
Prices are now higher for everything from food, fuel, rent to used cars.
Joe Biden has been saying this for how long? He's sticking to the script that inflation is transitory after there have now been 3 consecutive months of over 8% CPI inflation percentage. And the 8% that they're reporting is conservative to say the least. It's actually higher than that. And now with fears of a recession, Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen responds to Cardi B's recession tweet, noting that she does not believe that there will be a recession. Listen, folks, if Janet Yellen told you that inflation was transitory, but it actually wasn't, and now she's telling you that there won't be a recession, I'm starting to think there's going to be a recession, and add on top of that Joe Biden's saying the same thing, and then CNBC's Jim Cramer's also saying that he doesn't think there's going to be a recession, well, the betting odds for a recession continue to go up, at least in my eye. And here's the number that has me spooked. GDP, folks, is what I keep talking about. The technical definition for a recession is 2 consecutive quarters of GDP decline, the country's economy shrinking. And here's where we go to the Federal Reserve Bank of Atlanta and their GDP Now reporting. Their latest estimate is 0.9% as of June 8th, 2022. And the Federal Reserve Bank of Atlanta is relatively accurate, at least in their final reporting usually. So you might be thinking, well, it seems as though the economy might grow near 1% for the second quarter, but not so fast. Initially, the Atlanta Fed was reporting anywhere from 1.5% to 2.5% growth for the second quarter of 2022. Yet each and every single week, as they collect more and more economic data until they make their final prediction right before the actual numbers are released, their prediction continues to go lower and lower and lower. Take a look at this. This chart shows the US Atlanta Fed GDP Nowcast. The light green is 2022 quarter 1. They were predicting anywhere from 0 to around 1.7% GDP growth until towards the end, when the actual numbers started to get released, until the end of April, where their numbers started to tank in the negative territory, more in line with the negative 1.5% that we saw last quarter. Well, now we're seeing the exact same thing. The numbers start off high, but they're already tanking near the negative area, and there's a margin of error of near 1% on this data. So essentially, we're seeing the same thing that we saw last quarter with the Atlanta Fed GDP, and if the numbers keep going down, if it goes from 0.9% to near 0 or even in the negatives, well then it's all but confirmed that we're in a recession. And it's also even likely that the Atlanta Fed reports, let's say, positive 0.5%, but then the actual GDP numbers that are reported are negative. And so look, none of this is 100%. It's possible that after the second quarter is done, late July, the numbers are released, they're better than we were expected, the idea of a recession gets pushed to the back burner, inflation starts to come down, it's a relatively soft landing, and things start to get better. That is possible. But the reason I'm making this video is that you should be aware of what's really going on here. All Joe Biden keeps saying is how good of an economic recovery he's started, and all the Biden regime and the Democrat mainstream media keeps telling you or keeps pushing as a bunch of hopium. But you should be armed with the facts. It's not 100%, but it's not looking good either. And so do your own research and plan accordingly, because we are headed towards a possible financial economic storm. And that's just the reality, and that's what Joe Biden refuses to tell you. The man's an absolute coward and will do everything possible to protect himself and his political reputation and his non-existent legacy. And so if he won't tell you what's really going on, then I will. Brace for possible impact. At least be ready for a rainy day. That's what I got for you. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, a comment, subscribe, share it as much as possible. I'm going to get back to work. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.